Harmony. This is Paladin Carl. It's late in May, and rains have come and gone. There's a woodpecker busy in a tree above my head. Over this last winter, they've done remarkable things. Among them, they targeted every ash tree and had stripped the outer barks of them. And the effect of this appears to have been to reduce the sap flow in the trees, and the lower part appears to be viable and the upper part has no leaves. In other words, the trees are dying. This last winter was more mild than other winters. And what's unusual is this sudden behavior change of the pileated woodpecker, the red-headed woodpecker. And they've been looking for their food in the course of winter, and that appears to be where insects, centipedes, and other creatures were hiding. The food source that they need in the cold months where everything's frigid. During the last winter, we had many freeze-thaw cycles. And in these freeze-thaw cycles, those have presented changes over the winters here when I was younger, where it would get cold and stay cold until sometime in March. In other words, the climate is indeed changing here. And I speak to people of my generation, and they all agree it's not the same. What we do influences things on an individual basis, and as individuals, collectively, what we do has some kind of an average or a vector. And what's happening here is not what's happening elsewhere, but what's happening elsewhere is the collective actions of others from other times with other circumstances and so forth. This kind of a thing produces changes which can be nailed down to cause and effect. Cause and effect has been a topic that was keen in the religions that came out of India, including Buddha Dharma. Namely, karma. Karma means action, but karma embraces what you consider volition, will, going into action, and its consequence. Karma isn't that you come across pollen and you sneeze as a reflex. Karma is where you've got a choice between doing this and doing that. And you choose that rather than this. And the consequence of going that path instead of this path. We do that, and we develop individual karma, and what's around us seems to be a collective karma. But the collective karma isn't necessarily our own, because just as you cannot speak for a collective as an individual, the actions of the collective aren't wholly yours. You're apart from that. When they try to say, you are in Group X has done this thing, and therefore you are complicit in this activity too, because you're a member of that group. It isn't always true. But one thing about group membership is that you tend to think like the group. The thing about group membership is that you tend to play along with the group. That could be anything from a Facebook group and activities in society, whether it's parents and teachers doing things for the student body, political arenas, or even going to a sports stadium, any kind of sports activity where you're the spectator or the parent or friend of an athlete, so on. I've come across many different circles in my life. Everything from boating. My wife and I just attended Derby, which had to do with fishing, this past weekend. And a friend of ours lost her son due to a car accident, and so every year they hold this wonderful derby to raise money to support this activity to help children get into boating, fishing, those kinds of activities, all with the idea of doing it successfully and safely. I've been with horse people, been with automobile people, been with all kinds of different groups. And every one of us also has numerous groups, numerous kinds of endeavors that we've involved ourselves in, whether we were casually brought into it or if we looked at it with intention or somebody ropes us into it. Like, I've got a business proposition for you. You too can own your own business. Here's my card. You can do, yeah. We could do that stuff too. Some of these bring up their own individual cultures. If the group is large enough, it will have a culture. And in that culture, they will do things in accordance with these established behaviors. And some of these behaviors are going to have certain consequences. So whatever you're in, online or in real life, although the distinction between the two is getting more and more blurred. Look at this. This is online. That is going to profoundly affect your development and your own personal destiny. One of the things that we like to say among people who are interested in Jedi philosophy, Jedi religion, is a sense of destiny. What was I able to do? What can I potentially reach for? Is there something really grand? It was Buddha, I think, who said that the greater victor is the one who conquers himself, rather than the warrior who can conquer 1,000 in battle. To do that, I'm not there yet, of course, involves being able to take a critical look at consequence, at karma, at being able to bring yourself to understand that what you do is going to have results and what kind of results you want. In other words, the path, instead of having the wish, oh, I just want to get somewhere. I've got this vague idea and I'll follow it. No, in our case, we're very specific. To be specific, we need to know what we're doing. what we're after, what we're up to. What do we want to be a month from now, 5 years from now, when we do pass, rejoin the force? To do that, we should have a clear vision. Day-to-day living of most people seems to be something that comes because they feel that they've been handed where they are. I think in a lot of cases people have settled for where they are. And so they have limited their options. You can always say no to everything around you. You can leave. That's always been a thing. In the tradition that I was part of, the saints and the movers of that faith had rejected the values and thrust of society. One author in a book, it was Approach to Zen. I never became a Zen student, but the book was very instructive. He had a chapter that began, "This modern age has no direction." Now this thing was written in the middle of the 20th century, or near the middle. But it's a phrase that I can apply today. Where is the direction of everything? Are we headed toward a utopia? Or are we headed from where we are to worse? Or are things going to remain the same? There's people pulling here and there, as in my talk on influencers. So too, there's people influencing you here, and then others influencing you there. Who among us, sometime in their life, hasn't had somebody on each arm, and each of the two people were trying to take you in a different direction? Whatever reason, however briefly. But that kind of thing. Society always has. The world always has. Its wishes, its urges, and things like that. And where it goes, right now, with what's happening, the increasing temperatures of the sea and the air are what the average of human activity has done. If it does have a direction, it appears to be ruinous. There's all this prosperity, all this money, all this building, all these jobs, all these new vocations, this technology. It's marvelous, isn't it? It can be. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with it. But where is it going? Where's it taking you? If you're satisfied with it, that's one thing. That might be where your Dharma, so to speak, goes. It should be. Your Dharma is where your position in life is, what you need to do to be fulfilled. It's an oversimplification, but there you have it. The other things, they might not be the same for other people. I am one of those people who have looked around and said, who am I really benefiting when I'm working very hard? What am I really upholding when I'm going around consuming a lot of gasoline, driving all over the state? Am I helping people or beings when I'm engaged in watching TV? What do I want to do? What do I need to do? So the question of the position of self along with your position in life, along with where everything is in relation to you. This society that I'm in, this is the United States, seems to worship millionaires and billionaires. It certainly pays a lot of attention to influential people, celebrities. Even in an age that has fewer magazines than ever, the magazines that are in the checkout line at stores are all telling you about everything that happens to Prince Charles or some actor or somebody you haven't heard from. You see some of the scandal sheets there with a horrible picture of them trying to tear this person down in some way. But anyway, they've all seized our attention. Buy a mirror. Read that instead. Ask that person there, who are you? And what would you like? What would you really like? And it might be you need a change of pace from what you've been told all this time. It might be that the collective actions all around you have finally started to abrade like 40 grit sandpaper. This doesn't mean give up on modern existence. It means opening to a different view concerning it. It means opening to a deeper view of your own self and your relation to all this all around. Not just the four walls, not just the vehicle that takes you here and there, not just the place where you spend 40 hours a week. The entire sphere, the entire world, your relation to that. Because what we do right now, singly and collectively, influences other parts of the world. Now it seems that there's a dearth of those rare substances that make up the integrated circuits and the microelectronics of just about every device that we have. And because we are such ready consumers of it, along with people of other nations and other continents, that's made a change, a collective change. And now they're trying to think of different ways of doing things. More domestic manufacturing, perhaps. That's been one thing that's reached my ears. So in all this collective work that we do, this marvelous collective modern work, take time to go outside and breathe some air. Spend some time listening to birds and the wind. Take a walk. And in this, give yourself a break from what's hectic out there. And bring yourself to a meditative frame of mind. And open like a flower that follows the sun throughout the day. Do that as a persistence, as a practice, as an occupation. You'll see things different. I think it was Teddy Roosevelt who said, you want to find out what a man's really like, you just take him out in the woods with you. Of course, that was something from the perception of a woodsman, but still, a lot of people Don't know what to do. But this is the real world, not our cloistered four walls. Sheetrock, metal, plastic, whatever they're made of, wood. The woodpeckers aren't after wood, they're after the prizes that are in that wood. What you want is the prize inside of life. That is pretty much the thrust of most of what I have to say. This is Paladin Carl.